Hello everyone and welcome to Sky Gardens episode number 1. Yes, it's indeed a new mini-series on the channel, which is going to be like 5 to 7 episodes. I am quite safe that this will be around the same scale as my Arctic project. I really do hope that I get it done a little bit quicker than the Arctic project. So for those of you who are new to the channel, potentially, I did the exact same with the winter DLC, with the Arctic DLC of Planet Zoo. Back then I built a research center for the Arctic animals. So back then we had the, let's call it polar bear gate, with the land requirement of the polar bear. So I decided to go for a very realistic approach and do something that is related to conservation of animals and having kind of a research project. This time around, it's the exact opposite. We are doing something that is a lot more unrealistic, however, hopefully a lot more cool. I'm going for a Sky Gardens. You've seen that from thumbnail, so I'm not gonna talk too much around it. This is going to be a very much Marina Bay Sands inspired build that is definitely going to be located in the South of America instead of Asia. However, I wanted to build this for a while and I was lacking a lot of these glass pieces in the game, and now as we have them, it's not particularly part of the DLC. Obviously, it's a free update with the glass pieces, but I thought it would totally make sense to kind of do it in a tropical vibe and make the garden, the rooftop garden, very tropical indeed. Now, from the thumbnail you have seen the building instead of an animal today, and I figured it was intelligent and clever to go the first days with actually some animals. And in today's episode, I'm afraid there's no animal. So for those of you who are waiting for a habitat or an animal, it's not here. It's gonna be a full episode of wonderful design work and architecture work. And at the end of this episode, so very important bit, but I'm also gonna include the info in the description down below. At the end of this episode, we are going to have a little bit of a real-time part where I'm going to show you for once this building, but also I'm going to show you the buildings that you guys have sent in order to win a DLC code. So the lucky winner is named in the description, but I'm also going to read it out at the very end of this episode. A little cheeky hint, during the recording right now, it's Wednesday, it's not set yet, and so I cannot name the name now because I'm pre-recording the voiceover, but the real-time part will be done tomorrow once the winner is chosen. Now, the good thing is I have already had the chance to see some of your entries, and God, they are so good. God, guys, you just exceeded my expectations, and it's so gorgeous. You made so many cool buildings, and I'm gonna show you why exactly I wanted it. And I really hope that after the episode, more people want to contribute. So I offer the chance for all who want to. You will get a dedication in the build. I'm gonna make like a very nice dedication area where I put all the names in of these people who contribute a building. Now the idea about this build is obviously a hotel that is in the center of it and is the star of the show, and the zoo is going to be on the rooftop, obviously, of this building. Now, to give this whole thing a context, I need buildings, okay? And this is also why I had this particular idea to say, hey, try to be inspired by Buenos Aires or Rio de Janeiro, because I thought this would be the logical choice here to go with, because these are the kind of the big cities I imagine where this could have been built in the South of America. I mean, obviously there are more than those two cities, but I just figured that these were the cool ones I wanted to go with. And so I hope that maybe even if there is no DLC to win as of now, maybe in the future again, but you still want to be part of it, and you can still send me your blueprints of skyscraper buildings, because I definitely will need a lot more than the ones that have entered, even though there were already quite a few that have entered. So I think I'm gonna need like 50 to 60 buildings in total to make this whole thing set and have a nice little background. So again, as I said, they don't need to be super detailed because they act like a little bit of a context, like a little bit of a background for the map, but they definitely are important to be here to give the whole thing the finishing touches later on. And I really hope that you guys are as excited for it as I am. Now, I really also want to talk a little bit about the design choice of this building. So, as I said, it is heavily inspired by the Marina Bay Sands hotel. I'm just sorry for the little stop here. I was like, I don't know why exactly I'm confusing it all the time with the Marina Bay in Abu Dhabi. I think because I'm like an F1 fan, and this is kind of the cool hotel which the F1 teams are passing under, and this is always confusing. Effectively, this is the one in Singapore, which is the Marina Bay Sands. God, is that correct? This is the one that inspired it. But obviously, I went for a lot of own design choices that make this building stand out a little bit more, and it does not really look exactly the same. I wanted to have this kind of roundish build to it in two ways. Not only have it like have this roundish shape, this is tilt to the inside or to inward, so to say, that you have this curvy little element. I also let it curve to the side, so you do have this little bit of a bulb going inside of the building, and so it kind of makes the building appear a lot more narrow than it actually is, and it gets a little bit more bulky to the outside again. So it appears to be a lot thinner than it is, so it's not like, it's quite a hefty building, okay? It's gonna be very big and very insane, and also in the context of Planet Zoo and the sizes, it's still very, very big, but it's just exactly the size I needed it to be to make up for a realistic zoo on top and still maintain somewhat of a believable scale, which it totally isn't, but in the game it does kind of work. Obviously, this would be something, I mean, it could be done in real life, I guess it would be done. I mean, ethically and morally, I don't really know who would decide to have a zoo on top of a building like that. I mean, security-wise, this is at least questionable, I would argue. But I mean, in terms of doability, I think it's fair to say that this would be doable. But anyhow, it's just about the design choice here. I went for it, and I just want to make it because it's cool, and I thought if you guys are going to download it, it might be very exciting to check that out, and it's just like something to really nicely look at and be blown away by. I think that's the way I wanted it to be. That's the simple truth here, okay? I'm not gonna lie, this is exactly how it is. However, there are a few things about this building to notice, and this is, it still does contain quite a lot of pieces already, simply because the copy-paste actions, and that is, you know, the repetitiveness in the patterns. I tried to cover them up enough by having these really interesting shapes. And what I also ended up is doing already quite a little bit of a rooftop piece here. You can see me doing this. Mainly I built this already to have a reference, and I figured actually some of the roof pieces worked pretty well, because you don't really need to make it like super roundish, because the whole build is so big that these roundish edges, almost like in a polygon builder, don't really they are not as obvious, because they are more or less like disappearing in the shadow of this building later on anyway. So you can see I just used a few more art pieces to the top to make it only to the top a little bit more roundish. That was the only decision I made, because I felt, okay, that was important. But you can see I made this little, I want to even call it like boat, but it's looking like a little bit like a boat. But yeah, you can see I made this to already have a reference how big and how wide I can make it, because again, we will in a few seconds fill some soil into that, and I needed it to be, yeah, well, quite big. So in order to make this like a size that we can work with, and we can also fill some water in and stuff on top. And there's some really cool stuff coming in the future. So for those of you who are part of my live streams, they have already seen it quite a fair bit, and people were super excited about it. So I am also very excited what you guys are going to say. But yeah, we skipped a little bit forward in the build. I cut out a little bit of annoying terraforming, annoying testing and stuff. So I went ahead to a little bit of gardening work. I wanted to give this building already quite a little bit of a little park area in front of it, and using some of the new flowers to give it a bit of a tropical vibe, to have some plants already going on here and there. And yeah, I mean, it's just for the context. I might do at the end some tweaking here and there just to make it a bit more lush or less lush, however the buildings turn out to be. But yeah, just using some of the new pieces that are absolutely fantastic. As you can see, I was completely tripped by these wonderful new rock pieces. This was actually the first thing I built. Like, I didn't check out the animals first. I did definitely build this thing the first few hours after we got the DLC key delivered. By the way, I just wanted to take that little moment here again to thank Frontier, because obviously, as you guys have seen, We got this a little bit early on, and this time quite early, to be honest. We had quite a few days to play around with the game, and you know, it's always like a win-win situation when it works out this way. We can prepare some content for you guys, which is really cool, but it also is a win-win because we can figure out some of the bugs ahead of time and then play these infos back to Frontier, and so the game comes out in a way more polished way. And I want to stress this a little bit because as much as a developer is focusing on it and testing their asses off, and I wanna call it out the way it is, they're really working their asses off to make sure that the game is in the best possible state. But it's fair to say that no one at Frontier plays the game the way we play it, which is totally okay, because they have a job to do. Okay, so if they are developing a game 8.5 hours or 9 hours or 10 hours a day, I assume that they are not sitting down like we are and 4 to 5 hours in the evening build the game, design the game as we are doing it. So that would be absolutely ludicrous. That would be totally ridiculous. So effectively they are somewhat relying on our feedback in general, because we, as again, we are playing the game in a totally different way. I think none of the devs went in and built a building like I did here out of 1 million glass pieces and then built on top like a huge level of soil and a huge level of terrain and tried to fix it with some blueprints and put some rivers in there and try to make the water flow down and use the habitat pieces that have a physics that might even fall down this thing here, and they fall very far and they bounce back very far. It's really funny, and maybe you see that in the next episode. What? Okay, never mind, we're not going to talk about that quite yet. But yeah, so they are not playing the game in this way, and so it's really cool element that we can always give them some feedback on it and they can resolve it beforehand, and then the game comes out a lot more polished. That's really cool. I am a big fan of that, and I'm also a big fan of this for games where I do not have early access. So I'm also following a lot of people playing Sims or all the other games. Or I just got early access to City Skylines lately, so beforehand I was also always watching Flux, Sylph and so on when they had early access. So I'm a big fan of that. And it helps also to decide whether you want to get the updates or not, or the DLCs or not. Because obviously today demos are not a thing anymore. So you can definitely, get out there, get some content creators you're following and get their opinion on that. And then upon that, you just decide to get it or not. And I think that's a fair and cool thing to do. Now, enough about this. Let's talk about a bit more what I did here. So I was giving also the lake a little bit of context. However, I just want to say that this is purely work in progress placeholder. It's just here to give me an idea of how big the area is and where the people come from and how to manage the guest flow, and all these kind of things are, again, only here to give it a bit of context. So there's by no means this is meant to be the final design. I just was, at this point in time, I got carried away by the landscaping anyhow. So I just want to place down some trees, and as always, I end up doing already too much for the moment. But yeah, so this is it for the commentary. The live commentary you will follow now in a real-time part, and I hope you enjoyed this first episode of Sky Gardens, and trust me if I say the next episodes will be a lot about plants and cool habitat designs. It's gonna be awesome. I love this project already, and I hope you do too. So see you at the other side of the cut. Alright, as promised, here we are with the live section and the little showcase. So this is the building, how it stands at the end, and let me just turn the sun around so you have a better view on top of this building, or onto this building I should say. So it's a wonderful little build. Actually it's not that little, it's actually quite humongous. It's insanely big, because as you can see, these are the 3 favorites I picked for the DLC giveaway little poll, and I want you to decide which of those 3 wins the DLC, and I'm gonna name the winner tonight. Tonight I will name the winner in the description and also in the first comment. So I'm gonna do it at exactly 12, or I'm trying to do it around, let's say 12 p.m. So I'm gonna put this down there, and we have got 3 in here, at least by 2 of them I know how to reach out to them, but the third one I don't. So we have 3 buildings. These are the 3. I changed this one a little bit because actually it's only this size over here, but let me just show you first of all that one over here. This one is made by Fabio Palomba, and it is a very, very nice building inspired by some of the buildings in Rio de Janeiro in Buenos Aires, and you can tell this is wonderfully done. It doesn't have that many pieces, it still contains a good amount of detail, and I really like this building quite a bit. So the second building is over here. This one is done by Atomic, TM, okay? So the trademarked Mr. Atomic made this wonderful Rio Tower, which is obviously inspired by Rio de Janeiro. I love this rooftop planter here. That looks really cool. He's got another one on top here with a little bit of a terrace going on with some sun chairs over here, some beach chairs. So really cool. Also with a little rooftop thing. I really love that one. I really dig this because that really fits to what's going on and what's happening on top of here. And the third one is done by Agnieszka. Again, Agnieszka, the one who made the logo for Yosemite Valley, is also the one entering in here. So these three, you will now see pop up a little poll to the top right. There's a little card. You can write in vote there. And after an hour or two, I will get in there and, name the winner and pick the winner. So one of those three. However, there have been so many great entries. So I'm not putting them all in as of now. I'm going to tell you why in a bit because first of all I want to thank you all again. Big thanks. I was blown away. Over 30 people entered, which is super cool. And I was about to say, okay, you know what? Let's enlarge this whole thing, okay? I really want you guys to build more of these buildings. I'm gonna try to come up with a very cool little giveaway in the end. I have some stuff which I could give away, some free codes of different games, some free codes here and there. I do have some stuff that I can give away. I'll gather something together to at least make the 3 best entries by the end of this series get something. So please make sure to send in further of these buildings. And you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to give a little bit of context to this big building in the center. So you can actually go a little bit larger than I assumed. So you can actually go a bit taller than this building. So this building here is, I think it's something like 40 meters high in-game pieces. So you can actually go easily to 60, 70 meters in-game if you want. And then it might also give a bit of context. And I just want to make sure that we have a little bit of a context to the left and to the right to not make this building stand so very much alone. But I'm going to try to make it very open and airy as it is over here and just give it a bit of a modern appeal. That's the idea about this. So yeah, I don't want to make this more long than it actually needs to be. So my big question now is, do you like the entrance? First of all, it's very important. Do you like the entries? And also, what is your feedback to this build? Do you like it? And please give me all of your suggestions which animals go there. So I mean, obviously we go with the 5 new animals of the tropical pack. And then I can already tell that I'm going to root for the birds tapir as well. And I don't know which other animals. So make sure to drop the animals down in the comments. I really need to know which you think would be suitable for this here. And if you have any other idea, if you want like a rooftop terrace or like a swimming pool or whatever, please make sure to put it down in the comments and give me all of your ideas. I want to try to incorporate it as best as I can. Please stay sunny though. And now for those of you who want to catch me live, I am going to be live tonight at 7:30 p.m. again, Central European Summer Time. Make sure to check that on the other one. You know where to find me. If not, just ask in the comments. Someone will answer where you find me. That said, you won't find me here. So I think that's enough to say. However, I hope you liked this episode. Make sure to drop all the comments down below. Make sure to vote for these wonderful people who give the entry. And also, I hope all of you are safe and healthy at home. So have a good time. And I'm going to see you in the next one, which is going to drop soon because 2nd and 3rd episode are already done. So you can expect on the weekend at least one more episode of Sky Gardens. And until then, have a good time and goodbye.